Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Exceptional Scrum Master podcast. My name is Yinka and I remain your online Agile coach. Now in today's episode, I want to share some questions that you need to consider as you prep up yourself for interviews. Now, today's episode is going to be focused on Scrum Master questions. So these are questions that I have pulled out from the Scrum Guide. And it is my hope that once you're watching this video, you try to pause the video so that you're able to answer the questions. Or basically, you can write down this question somewhere else so that you can see how much of these questions you are able to answer. And any question that you're unable to answer, then it's time for you to go back and reread the Scrum Guide. It's time for you to go back and figure out what you need to do to be able to answer that question properly. So it is my desire that at the end of today's video, you are more confident because you definitely know where to read so that you can increase your chances of getting yourself that Scrum Master job. So what I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to look over to my notes because I decided to write out these questions, kind of make it easier for me to ask them to you. So the first question that I have for you is, imagine you are in an interview right now. So I want you to take this session very serious. Imagine that I am an interviewer and you are on the stand and I'm trying to interview you. Let's assume that I ask you to explain your role as a Scrum Master. What would be your response? So I'm going to rephrase the question. Can you please explain or summarize what the role of a Scrum Master is? How would you answer this question? I want you to take a few minutes, pause the video if need be, to give yourself a response and see whether you like what you said or you like how you sound. Okay? All right, question number 2. Can you explain the concept of lean thinking and how would you apply that to your team? Pause the video again if need be. See how you can come up with an answer. What do you understand by lean thinking? How would you apply this concept to your Scrum team? Give yourself a few minutes to answer this question and then resume the video. Now let's head over to the next question. Why does Scrum employ an incremental and iterative approach to its way of working? How would you answer this question? Okay, so I want you to take a few minutes to let this question sink in and see how you would answer this question. So give yourself a few minutes, answer the question or write it down, and then resume the video. Now, my next question. How would you coach your team on the successful use of the Scrum framework? Now, let's assume that you were assigned to a new team and the organization says, hey, we need to go Agile and Scrum is the framework we want to use. How would you coach your team on the use of that framework? Take a few minutes, think about the answer. How would you respond to this question? Pause the video if need be, and then resume once you're comfortable with your answer. All right, let's move over to the next question. How would you coach your product owner on its responsibilities? Now, imagine that you're assigned to a team and the product owner of that team is new to Agile and completely new to Scrum. What are the ways that you will coach your product owner on some of its responsibilities as a product owner to a Scrum team? Take a few minutes to answer this question. Pause the video if need be, or write down the question if you do not know the answer immediately. Reflect on the ways that you would coach your product owner on its responsibilities, and then you can resume the video. Now, another similar question would be, how would you coach your development team? So the developers on your Scrum team, how would you coach them to embrace their responsibilities? Imagine that there's a new member on your team, never worked in an Agile framework before. How would you coach that member to be able to work within the team structure of Scrum? All right, let's move over to the next question. What are some of the ways that you would serve your team so that they could become more effective? Take a few minutes to think about the question. Pause the video if you need it. Write it down if you don't have a clue on how to answer this question, and you can always come back to it. Okay? All right, let's head over to the next question. Can you share with me some of the techniques that you would use with your product owner for an effective product backlog management? So basically, what are some of the techniques that you would share with your product owner so that your product owner can better manage the product backlog? How would you respond to this question? Spend a few minutes expressing your explanation. Pause the video if you need to. And if you're confident, let's head over to the next question. Can you share with me some ways that you've been able to serve your organization outside of the immediate Scrum team that you've been assigned to? So let's assume that you've been assigned 2 teams to work with. What are the other ways that you've been able to help the outer organization to improve the way they work? So with this question, you're going to have to reflect on things that you've done outside of your primary Scrum teams. So think about it for a moment. Pause this video again if need be so that you can reflect on your responses. Write down the question if it's needed, and then you can resume the video. Next question. What is the importance of working in a sprint? Hopefully you don't say because Scrum says so. Why do you think it's important for this Agile team to adopt in the Scrum framework to work in sprints? What's the benefit? All right, take a few minutes to answer this question. Pause the video if need be so that you can reflect what you think about this question, and then resume the video once you're confident that you know the answer to this question. Next question. How would you describe your role in a sprint planning event? Think about this question. Once you're done answering the question, think about the question. Pause the video if needed so that you can reflect on the question and resume once you're done answering the question. Next question. Is it important for you as a Scrum Master to show up in a daily Scrum? And if you believe it's important, can you share with me some of the reasons why you believe so? Take a few minutes to think about this question. Come up with your answers. Pause the video so that you can reflect what your response would be, and resume the video once you're done. Next question. Let's imagine that you're assigned to a new team, and this new team, for every event that they have, they always run over time. They never keep to the time box. How would you coach your team to be more effective in time management? What are some of the techniques that you would share with them? Or what are some of the ways that you would help them improve this habit? Think about this question. Pause this video if needed so that you can reflect on your responses, and you can resume this video once you're confident of the response that you've given. Next question. What is the importance of a retrospective event? Why should we have a retrospective event? Think about this question again. Pause the video so that you can reflect on your response. And once you're confident again, you can resume the video. Another question. Now, let's assume that in the course of a sprint, your team did not finish their work. So the sprint goal that they committed to, they were unable to complete that goal. And they asked you as the Scrum Master, can we please cancel the sprint review because we have nothing to show our stakeholders? How would you respond to your team? Would you go ahead and cancel it? If yes, why? Would you not cancel it? If yes, why? Think about your response to this question. Pause the video if needed so that you can reflect on your response, and then you can resume once you're confident about the response that you've given. Next question. Now, let's assume that your team is completely new to the Scrum framework and they're new to user stories. How would you coach your team on effective ways of writing user stories? What are some of the techniques that you would share with them? Think about your response. Pause this video if needed so that you can reflect on your response and how you respond intuitively to this question. And once you're confident, you can always resume the video. Next question. What would you consider the important characteristics of a user story if you had to coach your team on the importance of a user story? Think about your response. Pause the video if needed once again so that you can reflect on your response to this question. And once you're confident, you can always resume the video. Okay. All right. Let's take a break here. How did you do? I hope that you truly paused the video. I hope that you really took out the time to reflect on how you would respond to that question. And I hope you took down notes so that you can come back to that question, especially the questions that you're not very confident about. Now, these questions, even though they are easy, it is so sad that many people do not even know how to answer the basic Scrum Master questions. And all of this were pulled from the Scrum Guide. Now, obviously, different organizations are going to ask you questions in different ways, but it's important that as you apply for a Scrum Master job, that you understand everything in the Scrum Guide. You understand, the Scrum theory, you understand the role, you understand the events, and you don't understand it from a theoretical point of view. You understand it from a scenario point of view because you're in a role where you're supporting a product owner, you're supporting a team, you're supporting an organization. So basically, This framework is a way that we work. So many of the questions that you will be asked will be, what would you do in a certain scenario? Or how would you handle the scenario? Or how would you coach your team? Or what are the techniques you would share? Or what are the tips? That is how those questions will come to you. But I believe that if you're able to answer these questions, then at least you are confident that you know the Scrum Guide to a certain extent. And so I would like you to also revisit the Scrum Guide so that at least you know that when it comes to the Scrum Guide, I have that on check, and then you can begin to figure out other areas that you would like to develop, other frameworks and other ways that you have worked. I hope this video was super useful to you. I am looking for your testimonies where you share in the comment section how you got a job. I wish you all the best. And I'd just like to remind you that my next coaching call is coming up August 16th. And so if you're interested in having a coach mentor you throughout this process, then I'd like you to sign up to my group coaching program. And if you just want to join a community of like-minded individuals, then I'd like to introduce to you my Inner Circle Agile community, where we're like-minded individuals focused on Agile, focused on how to grow and how to be exceptional. And clearly you want to belong to this community because we're exceptional people, if I say so myself, and I'm sure that my community members definitely agree with me. So the link to the community and the group coaching session will be in the description. And so if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Do you have a great day? And I'll catch you in my next episode. Bye for now.